Hi, I'm Norm Kern, and I'd like to welcome you to Access MC, Access to Motorcycling. We're coming to you from the American Motorcyclist Association Heritage Museum in Westerville, Ohio. This unique museum was built to document and preserve motorcycling's proud history. The International Six-Day Enduro is held each September, usually in Europe. Teams from around the world represent their home countries in the competition. This time we're going to see an ISDE Qualifier event, one of a series held here each year to pick the team members who will represent the United States in the International Six-Day Enduro. Let's go now to MacArthur, Ohio to see how the riders qualify and to catch a glimpse of what the ISDE itself is really like.
Got a little bit of rain, but I don't think it's going to help much.
I know.
Here we are at MacArthur, Ohio. Riders come from all over the country for these kinds of events.
This is right as I was leaving, man. He runs out and says,
It should be. Well, maybe it fell off before you loaded the bike up.
Yeah, probably did.
see y'all later.
Of course, all the manufacturers' teams are there as well. Sign up is pretty routine. It's pretty much like you would expect for an enduro. In fact, for most of the riders, this simply is an enduro. Only about 40 or 50 of the riders in this event, out of a total entry of about 160, are actually what are referred to as intent riders. That is, riders who are trying to qualify for the 6 days. For the rest of the contestants, this is just a regular enduro, which carries regular points. Here they're looking at their sign-up orders and the route sheet with the key time watch. Much more rigorous than a regular enduro is the tech inspection. The bikes are tested for sound level and many other things, and all the important components on the motorcycle are tagged with a special color of paint. These components may not be changed during the event. That's why they're tagged. If the rider has a spare component with him that he carries with him, he can use that part and replace a damaged part. Once the bikes are inspected, they go into a compound where they must be kept until the beginning of the event. This is one of the riders from the Swedish Husaberg team. And we're just about ready to start the event. Riders are starting to take off from the starting line. This fellow in the foreground, Steve Hatch, is one to watch. He's always a top competitor in these events.
Here you go. Where everybody else has been starting anyway. All right.
And here we are at the first special test already. Just a few miles from the start is the first special test, which is a cross-country race. The riders are timed for maximum speed through this course, which winds around and around through a big open field. Generally, the scoring on these events is done by having the riders complete a fairly technical course, and they have a time schedule that they must maintain. As long as they can stay on time, they don't lose any points, and they maintain their medal status. If they don't lose any points for being late and finish within about the top 10 or 15% on the special tests, then they get a gold medal. And if they don't finish quite so highly in the special tests, they get a silver medal. And if they just lose a few points for being late at checkpoints, then they get what is called a bronze medal. And here we are in one of the enduro type sections. This muddy area here is normally underwater. This is what they call the beaver dam section. Fortunately, the water was drained out. Otherwise, some of this course would be very difficult to get through. There's a little section where they go up a hill to get around a mud hole. In this area, the top-notch riders don't really look that much different than the casual enduro riders. And that's because this part of the course is easy enough that they are able to maintain their time schedule. Timing of an ISDE qualifier is a lot more complicated than the typical enduro because each class has a different time schedule due to the different sizes and capabilities of the individual motorcycles. Up until this point, the weather's been pretty dry, but there is a lot of concern because it's very cloudy on this particular day that it might rain. Here's a typical water hole. These kinds of events consist of a lot of trails, including fire roads and pipelines and power line cuts and so on, that just run straight cross country. But even the regular Jeep roads and so on have a lot of puddles, such as this one, that riders try to go around because when the water is muddy, you don't know how deep it is in the middle. A rider can go directly through the middle of this puddle and probably not have any problem. But the riders, even though they're in a hurry, they try to be careful because they don't want to get stuck or have to stop and lose time. Okay, here we are at an uphill section. It's very difficult to photograph this and do it justice. This is really a very steep hill. Whenever you encounter a steep hill like this, it's very important to keep on the gas and maintain momentum. On a hill like this that has a lot of loose dirt and rocks, all you have to do is get crossed up the wrong way and you can immediately lose momentum. And traffic jams are always on. See, this fellow's rear tire's hung up on a rock. Now this fellow takes a little detour down the side of the hill. Falls down.
Get all up!
And here we are at another special test. This is a speed test through the woods. Notice how much faster these guys are going since they're trying for as high a speed as possible. special test, the riders come out of the woods and have to go up a power line cut.
Right through here, Fred! That's me here!
And we're back to the other special test on the grass track again. We're now into about the middle of the afternoon, and you can just barely see it right now. It's starting to rain. You always want to get as far as you can if you're concerned about the rain, because once it starts to rain, things get slick and conditions change very quickly. You can see the rain's really starting to come down now. And here we are back in the Beaver Dam section again, which is repeated a second time in the afternoon. We're at a little bit different spot this time, though. This is a creek crossing where they've put down a couple of old shipping pallets. These were put in the creek bed so that it wouldn't become dug out quite so badly, and it would be easier to get across. Unfortunately, the pallets can become an obstacle in and of themselves. This fellow doesn't realize it, but his fork tube is hung up on the pallet. And that's why he can't go anywhere. Meanwhile, he's losing a lot of valuable time. As you can see, there are many alternative ways around. This section is about 5 or 6 miles south of where the open field is, where we were just watching the special test. Unfortunately, though, the rain has started here now. You can see it in the puddles. Now it's really starting to come down. You can even hear it. Well, they're coming back to the finish. For the regular enduro riders, this is the end of the run. Unfortunately for the intent riders, there's still a lot ahead. Once the intent riders check in, all they have time to do is clean up their bikes and get rid of the excess mud and perhaps change their riding gear, because they're going to run a motocross race as a final special test. And here they are. These are the 125s. After racing 125 miles through the woods and through all those special tests, they have to run a 5-lap motocross race at the end of the event as a final special test. The fellow out in front in the blue is Terry Cunningham, who's one of the top-rated national riders. And you'll see something here that's really remarkable. Terry loses it in a turn on the first lap, and all the riders get past him. Now you'll see why Terry Cunningham is a national champion. He's already passed 2 of the riders back, and we're not even done with the first lap yet. And here they come. This is the end of the first lap, and Terry Cunningham takes the lead. He gets passed back, though. But then he takes the lead for good. And that's the finish of the first moto in the final special test. The riders are broken down into different motos by class. We'll show you highlights of a couple other races. The fellow running out in front there is Steve Hatch. Steve's another one of those champions. I don't think there's any doubt about whether he'll qualify to go to the ISDE. The truth is that these guys are not just enduro riders or motocross racers. These are great all-around riders. And that just about does it for an ISDE qualifier. The ISDE is one of the most prestigious events in the world of motorcycling, with strong international competition between factories, nations, and riders. I'm proud of the Americans who pull together in a grassroots effort and represent our country so well. Well, that's all we have time for this month. Remember, there will be a new show next month. In the meantime, don't miss out. Join the over 8 million riders who enjoy the world of motorcycling. See you next time.